was due. It was the left Achilles, right?
Right Achilles.
Right, okay, cool. So I'm going to do the same thing. I think usually you've always had pretty good response. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the cupping kind of really along this whole right side. So again, I'm just going to feel pressure. I think you're okay with like the CBD stuff, right? All right, cool. So CBD, which again is like one of my absolute favorite supplements at this point, because it's a natural performance enhancer, believe it or not. When it goes through the skin, it just kind of really helps the muscles fire and perform better. So the idea, remember with cupping, 5 minutes of the cupping is like 30 minutes of deep tissue massage. So that's what I get now with athletes in particular. The name of the game is just recovery, recovery, recovery. Obviously injuries come with training and come with the nature of sports, whether you're playing football or whether you're a fighter, or even day-to-day work, So that's quite common. So I'm gonna let that kind of sit in those couple spots there.
The time was a long.
Let me see, okay, I'll adjust it a little bit. How's that pressure? Is it okay? Not too much? And again, not necessarily warm means better, so I'm just gonna let those kind of marinate a few minutes while we work. And there was this calf, right? Okay. So you're 100% right with the calf tightness. This gets tight, then this pops, right? So all these Achilles injuries, which again, most people just ignore the tightness, right? Because basically, quite frankly, men don't complain, right? Like imagine going to complain to your coach about like, hey, my calf is tight. What's your coach gonna tell you?
You'll stretch and be like for
Yeah. No, he's gonna say, get the fuck out of my face. He's like, I got tightness too. Like, get over it. So, but you're right. The stretching, to be honest, it's not even necessarily the stretching. It's dehydration usually. That's what I've noticed with like probably good 50+% of these injuries. 80% of our body is water. So when we're not getting daily water intake, which most of us aren't, including myself, these things just dry out and then they pop. So it's not stretching. Think about that, right? If we water the plant, you probably don't, you're a young guy, so like you really don't need to stretch that much, as much as you would think at this stage. I forget, are you even 30?
26.
Yeah, so you're probably after 30 is when you have to start maybe adding a little bit more stretching. I'm almost 40, I never stretched a day in my life. But again, I'm not an athlete. Right? So for you, as a fighter, it has to become a weekly part of your regimen, the stretching, the mobility work, the things like that, as you get to that level. Which, are you still pursuing? Are you still fighting?
I don't even see the black eye yet.
What?
I don't even see the black eye yet.
Oh yeah, sure, wow.
Yeah, that was on Thursday.
Damn.
Yeah, you should have seen it on Thursday. She was big ass knot, man.
What's the other guy look like? Any worse?
I was killed.
Wow.
Struggle.
Yeah, so see again, and look at that, from Thursday to here, what the hell is it, Sunday, in like 3 or 4 days, you're almost like healed already. It looks like amazing.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't even look like anything.
Again, when you're that young and performance and you're taking care of your body and like from the nutrition standpoint, from the hydration standpoint, you just heal fast. Like even your shoulder was a good example, dude. Your shoulder was really bad.
Yeah, I fucking love my shoulder right now. I think it's beautiful right now.
But that's the thing, because again, you rehabbed and you did all the right things. Like I can't even believe, like I was just waiting to get a call from you, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's okay. Like I couldn't believe it.
Well, the shit you showed me, I swear to God, this shit constantly.
Well, that's the thing. Again, remember, I always tell patients, help me help you. If you're not going to be involved and put a little bit of time, like John's a good example.
Yeah,
love him to death, but he was just not a good patient.
He's not.
Yeah, it's like I tell him like get a back brace. He's like, nah, yeah, I forgot. Like John, go stretch a little bit. Do your hammies. He's like, yeah, no. I'm like, all right, dude. So again, of course, therapy's not going to work, and of course, you're not going to get better. But again, like I just can't imagine like this is your Ferrari, this is your body, and you're not like investing like 5 minutes, man. And again, that's the thing, same thing with the gym. That's why right now going forward, I really only prefer working with athletes or people that just go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like if you don't value training, then yeah, just don't call.
No, I completely understand.
So that's where it's at, and it's interesting because the more and more, again, we get to work with what I call celebrities like yourself and etc. You know, we're doing more and more shows, bodybuilding shows, powerlifting stuff. It's really growing hugely popular now from post-COVID actually. Because that's one thing COVID taught us. It's just taking care of our, I guess, our body and our immune system. So we can
Yeah, a lot of people started fixing things up, or the complete opposite.
Exactly. Nobody stayed the same.
Yeah.
Nobody stayed the
It's
same.
weird. I was like, damn, nobody really stayed the same.
People either really fell off, like 30, 40, 50 pounds of weight gain, and basically died.
Yeah.
Yeah, even had some young friends, like same thing. Actually, one of my best friends, to be honest with you, like he was a big boy. He got it and had a pulmonary clot and ended up dying.
What?
Yeah, young, like 37, 38. I actually just saw him yesterday, where I went to his grave, and I still can't even believe he's gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But again, big boy, just, you know, again, quite frankly, was obese, had a history of steroid abuse,
Oh.
a lot of different things. But it was a crazy story. Like, dad gets it, beats Corona, right? His brother gets it, beats it. So this guy's like, I'm good, whatever, you
I
know?
don't need it too, man.
What?
I don't need it too, he's probably thinking.
Yeah, exactly right. And, yeah, man, so it's real. And that's the thing, like, when you're this fit, no virus, no bacteria basically has a chance to beat you up, right? Especially when you're a fighter, like that's exactly what happens when we engage with coronavirus or whatever virus, right? Your body and your immune system is able to beat the crap out of it. Like you're like, it's like a professional fighter.
Yeah.
Now again, granted, don't get me wrong, people that are fit and young and whatever, like are getting it, but guess what? They're most likely not dying from it.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact that we shut the whole world down for nothing more than a flu,
Yes.
it's just all part of the bigger picture, the control thing. You know, it's all part of population control.
Exactly.
That's a whole different podcast we'll talk about. So the point is just fucking ignore it and do your best. You know, I think you've been pretty fortunate. You've been working the whole way through in this thing, right? Damn, it's crazy. Really, people are like still.
Yeah.
I guess rich people just still do their thing, right? Holy shit.
Yo, also on my big toe, my right foot, it's like on the verge. You know, you have to crack your knuckles.
Yeah.
I can't crack my big toe, and I feel like I'm
On this side, right?
Yeah, because I'm always, my feet are always like this, because my right foot is always back like that.
This.
Yeah, exactly. Then I can always push it on the back foot like that. And
Yeah.
I feel on my right toe crazy, though. I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, okay. I'll show you, actually, let me sit this up right here. Let me see, I should stay on. So the great toe, the analogy is, it's like your thumb. You start messing with this thing, you're SOL. So if it feels like stiff, which it is, basically what I do is I go in and just kind of mobilize it. Another good trick for your feet, because again, you're barefoot and you're training, and again, you got a good thick callus, is do Epsom salt foot soaks for 10 minutes. Actually, I would do baths, like cold Epsom salt bath soaks for you, like daily if you can.
Really?
Did you happen to have one of those, like a cold plunge in your gym or somewhere?
Well, they have some sort of.
They have what?
They have those cold chamber places.
The cryotherapy?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's expensive. It gets pricey after a while. I have a cryotherapy in Butler now. If you really want to do it, it's a mobile cryotherapy. We do it up there. But what's more affordable is this. What I would do is go on Amazon, just type in like cold bath. It's literally a little tub like this big. It's this little circle, and you just put cold water in it and soak in it. Like I literally sit in it like this. I get down in it.
Oh, you get in it for your body?
Yeah, full body, dude. It's great for you, especially. Again, you have to get into that, like saunas, cryotherapy. As a fighter, that's like the minimum you have to have, like in your house. And believe it or not, the steam, the sauna, the hot sauna, and that cold chamber was under $500 together.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was like the best $500 I ever spent in my life, probably, actually. I've been losing weight on it, because I go hot, cold, for like 20 minutes, you know? But it's really good stuff, and I think,
Do you ever go to HGH though?
did you ever order it? I sent you the link, man, get it. It's totally legal. That was designed, actually, if you start it,
He said it's totally illegal?
no, totally legal. It was designed for fighters. It's a microdose. So even if they test you at a microdose, it's not traceable. And steroids, which it doesn't fall under steroids because HGH is not a steroid, testosterone is a steroid, right? So HGH controls all hormones and all steroids. It's the godfather of hormones, right? So it's, like I told you, for me, I just weighed myself the other day, I'm 149, 12%, 11% body fat. Just on this thing, and I'm barely training, I mean, no bullshit. I'll show you my before and afters. So that's, and now I'm not even taking any protein, no amino acids, none of the shit. Like when I run an experiment, I have one variable, right? Because then the question is, well, is it protein doing this for me? Is it amino acids? Is it this supplement? And quite frankly, I just thought it was too expensive and just make it a mess. Like I wouldn't have milk, or I don't know, I would just get lazy and not make my shake for the day. So this stuff, I just rub it on my body and boom, done. Twice a day. And you're in good shape, so again, well, we need to get you better, right? The conversation we're having is Ferrari conversation. I'm not talking about Honda here. So, but yeah, that's definitely something to look into. And like I said, the hot and cold stuff. Are you good with cold usually? Yeah. How did you play like when it was cold out?
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like this girl, I was on Thursday, I was like, you know, I iced my eye, but she's like, yeah, and I was fucking pretty much fighting her, this ice on my eye.
Oh.
I was like, get this shit off.
No, well, here's what you gotta do, because it happens, because you're right, I don't like the cold either, so put it in a pillowcase. And then, as long as it's just cool, you don't need like fucking icy
Really? You don't
yeah.
need it?
No. Like tonight, like you gotta still ice that every few hours. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Put it in as long as it's just cool. Like you don't need it to be cold.
Oh, really? I thought you needed like one.
No. Absolutely not. Even the cryotherapy, when you do the cold cryotherapy, which you could do for your face, I'll hook you up with the guy. He'll do your whole scalp and face and your eye with the cryotherapy. And it's really amazing. But again, so the cold.
Oh, I hate the cold.
Yeah, but it's not. This is the best analogy how it explains how I think about it. It feels like a cold, misty rain, like you're running like in your shorts in a cold, misty rain. It's actually like invigorating. So the first little bit, like same thing when it's game time. The first like 10 minutes you're cold, you go warm up, and that's it. Then your body's producing heat, right? But you have to get used to that because cold, you sleep better. You're actually supposed to take cool showers, not warm showers. Because when your body temperature is lower, you're recovering better, right? Inflammation you get down with cold. So if you sprain your ankle or your calf like you just did, putting heat to the fire is heat to the fire, right? So cold is that's why cryotherapy is booming right now. Like everybody's doing cryotherapy, and that's why I put it in my office or why I got a mobile unit, because again, it's like everybody needs to be doing that. We do facials with it, we do everything, scalp treatment with it, hair treatment with it. The best analogy is cold does this to your body: Control, Alt, Delete, reset. That's what it does. That's the best analogy to think of it, right? It's always a Control, Alt, Delete. But again, you're right. So you have to build up to the real cold shit. Like yesterday, like when I did mine, like I went in that cold tub. I put my legs into here, and then I do this, like with my arms, and then I put a little bit on my face because your head is a little sensitive, you know.
I thought it was a fucking brain freeze or something.
What's that?
I thought it was gonna brain freeze.
No. Yeah, you did it way too cold. that's also
Oh,
why
really?
you feel, yeah, you don't, you can burn yourself if it's that cold. You could actually have a reverse effect.
Cause I had some on my chest one time, in my, right under my heart.
Yeah.
And this is my pet. And I was like, I'm about to freeze my heart. I'm about to have a heart attack.
Now, if it's taking away your breath where you're like,
Oh no, it wasn't taking my breath. I was bugging. I was being a little kid. I was being a little kid. And I was like, I think I'm gonna freeze my heart. Like, I think I'm gonna have a heart attack.
it's,
If I freeze this.
you definitely don't want to do too much of a shock like that, without a doubt, because again, it's too much is too much, right? And as you get used to it, which probably like takes like 6 weeks, then you won't even realize, you won't even feel the cold. So the best analogy is like jumping in a pool in the summer, right?
Yeah.
Or in the ocean, it's like, oh fuck, it's kind of cold. But then once you get in there, you're like, all right, cool, this is good.
Yeah, because when I started doing my eye now, I can put, I just touch it on my eye now. I don't care.
Yeah.
But that first day, I was like, no, I can't. I don't want to touch the ice on my face at all.
Yeah, it's like I said, a good little trick I do too is make a compress, like a towel, soak it in cold water, but in cold Epsom salt water, right? So the towel absorbs the Epsom salt and just plunge it on your face like this, the cold compress.
Really?
Yeah, it'll suck it right out.
I just got a whole bunch of Epsom salts too.
What?
I just got a whole bunch of Epsom salts.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's like, again, standard, like, first aid kit, man, you do as a fighter. Actually, that's what I'm gonna start doing on my website. We're gonna start putting, like, kits like that, muscle fix kits. Epsom salt rags, muscle, cupping sets, scraping sets, because there's a lot of people out there that need and want stuff like that. So really where we're gonna make money, which I was also telling John about, is on our merchandise, on our website, on sales. And right now, we're starting to pay 20% commission on sales. So like our 12 pack, I think is like $1,200. That $200 buffer is built in for the sale. I pay cash on that. So technically, for John, I forget how many you did. For every 3 referrals, like I owe you a session. So you gotta keep track. So you got John, and then if your friend starts that email, that'll be your second one. But I'm gonna throw you some products. I owe you some product or stuff on the just
Send me the link for the ACH stuff.
Yeah. Today I'm gonna send it right once we get done.
How much is it? Like 200?
So no. It's actually even better, man. If you buy it from me retail, it's 200. If you get it on auto ship, 150. If you buy it in bulk, which I recommend, you get 8 units for 130, man. Like, so get the 8-pack. I'll take half if you want, because I retail them. And now that's your business, by the way. That's a business. So then you sell them for 200. But more importantly, people that go underneath you, for the first 5 levels, they pay 10%, dude. Most weeks I'm doing better on my HGH company than I am on this.
Really?
Yeah, man. And you're a big name, like you're established, so like, if they're like, oh my God, Jordan's taking this product, then that's it, dude. Keep track of your photos and your results, and they're ready to make some money.
Yeah.
What can I tell you? That's what I noticed. So let me tell you how I got introduced to it. The chiropractor where I treated you in Fairlawn, he's 65. I forget, I don't think you met him that day, but he's a bodybuilding, CrossFit, like, beautiful guy, 65 years old, right? I'm like, Doc, what do you want? Get me some. So I thought he was going to give me juice. So I'm like, all right, I was ready. I wanted to, start taking TRT. He's like, here, he throws me that bottle. I'm like, all right, I thought this guy fucking just sold me on some bullshit product. So I started, the first 3 days, I started having the most vivid, lucid dreams of my life.
Really?
Like bug out dreams. So what that means is your body and your brain is in a deep REM sleep.
You know, I have the craziest vivid dreams.
You do?
I have more.
That's great.
Wow, especially when I take naps.
That's a good thing because
Is
that's great,
I
dude.
would never do
That means you're in a recovery mode. You're actually getting that means you sleep peacefully. That means you when you go out, you go out.
Yeah, I don't sleep that long.
Yeah, you don't need it.
I can't sleep that long. I will wake up and I'll
What you do now.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Again, studies are showing 8 hours we actually need to accumulate per night. Now again, you're young, so once you hit 30, that'll become more applicable to you. But right now, you don't really need to worry about that because again, you're not even 30 yet. Okay, come on up. Let's retest a little bit slowly. Just be careful standing up. Still feel like a little looser at the heel, so just be careful. Okay, so let's retest first. Let's retest with the heel first. Tell me if that feels any different or less tight in the calf.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. And then what about toes in? Tell me if that feels any less tight or less pain there.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, good. And again, you get good up, you get really up on there. So what about that way?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so your exercises for your calf is you gotta do toes out like this, you know, 1 to 2 minutes. Toes in for the inner head, 1 to 2 minutes, and toes straight. That's how you build up your calves. The 3 heads. Let's see with the wing, reach up. Tell me if that feels any freer.
Feels great.
Good, behind the back. Good. And then behind this way. And then try a couple again, slow-mos, combos. Kind of do like a follow through, yeah? Tell me if you feel any tightness or pain with that.
No, it feels good.
So you can see again, right? Yeah, so when you're, because in your natural position, right, as a fighter is here, so when you go over again, like you're just overstretching that a little bit.
Yeah.
So let me show you one more that's really important. What you can do is, you can pop your shoes and socks on. I'm gonna show you like a sitting one that we have to do.